Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's meeting of the Assembly Committee on Growth and Infrastructure. Would our committee secretary please call the roll?
Assembly members Bacchus,
Present.
Brown May,
Here.
Carter,
Present.
Dickman,
Here.
Gallant,
Here.
Gurr,
Here.
Karras,
Here.
Moore,
Here.
Wen,
Here.
Urick,
Here.
Chair Watts.
And I am here. We have all members present. We have a quorum. Thank you. To anyone who is joining us today in Carson City, Las Vegas, or online, welcome. A few quick housekeeping notes. Please silence your electronic devices. If you plan to speak, please sign in at the table in the back. Provide us a business card if you have one. That really helps us keep accurate minutes. Remember, when speaking, please turn on the microphone before you speak. Clearly state your name for the record every time before you speak, and turn the microphone off once you finish. That helps prevent any feedback. If you would like to provide testimony or public comment today, we will take public comment at the end of today's meeting. And if you'd like to provide testimony or public comment by phone, please call 888-475-4499. And when prompted, enter the meeting ID 824-757-89680 and then press pound. You can find that information on our agendas, which are also posted on the Nevada Legislature's website. Today, we will be hearing 4 bills. It is my intention to take those bills in order, so we will hear Senate Bill 91, followed by SB 181, SB 194, and SB 320. So, without any further ado, we'll get started, and I will open the hearing on SB 91, which establishes provisions relating to the use of diacritical marks in certain governmental records. Welcome back to the Committee on Growth and Infrastructure, Senator Doñate. Please proceed whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon to the members of the Assembly Committee on Growth and Infrastructure. For the record, my name is Fabian Doñate, and I represent Senate District 10 in Las Vegas. Today, I come before you to speak on Senate Bill 91, a bill that will honor the grammatical spelling of an individual's name when issuing a recording of official documents. And today, I am joined by my intern, Leticia Delgado, who will go ahead and present this bill. So, Leticia, please take it forward.
Good afternoon to the members of the Assembly Committee on Growth and Infrastructure. It's a pleasure to be presenting in front of you all today. For the record, my name is Leticia Delgado. That's Leticia-Delgado. So today we're going to be covering the bill language as well as the background, national trends, and solutions related to SB 91. So I'm going to go ahead and proceed. SB 91 is an act relating to governmental records. It establishes a prescriptive framework ensuring that if federal law or regulations permit the use of diacritical marks through the Social Security Administration, the Nevada Department of Motor Vehicles will be the first agency to implement this change, and then it'll be followed by the state registrar and county health officers. Furthermore, this amendment removes any state-level barriers that could prevent these agencies from adopting diacritical marks once federal authorization is granted. This act will take effect when the director of the DMV confirms that there are sufficient resources to carry out its provisions. So I want to begin by contextualizing the usage of diacritical marks, especially in languages spoken by Nevadans like Spanish, Vietnamese, French, Somali, and Arabic. So we know that diacritical marks are used to distinguish vowels and tone and other pronunciation features. Spanish, which is spoken by more than 60,000 Nevadans, applies diacritical marks to names such as Gonzalez, Jose, and even Doñate. However, despite individuals learning to write their names with accents and tildes, registrar documents never capture the true spelling of names. Although some states don't have any mention of diacritics in their legislation, others, like California, explicitly ban these special characters because they're not a part of the English alphabet. Considering that the United States hosts a flurry of languages, such determinations are a little bit outdated, and simply put, cultural heritage should not be dishonored when having the technological ability to do otherwise. Nevada is the 4th leading state in the number of Spanish speakers, but it has not considered a bill that requires diacritical marks before. Instead, states like Texas, North Carolina, Hawaii, and Alaska have long since allowed special characters to be used in their official documents. For example, in 2017, the Texas State Legislature introduced and passed HB 1823, which would require diacritical marks to be recorded in their state documents. The bill language in Texas prompts the Texas Department of Safety to ensure that an original or renewal's driver license or personal identification certificate issued properly records any diacritical mark used in a person's name. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and over to turn it to Senator Doñate for more information. Thank you.
Thank you, Leticia Fabian Doñate, for the record. Just going over really quickly on the bill. So the bill has been rewritten to be prescriptive in nature. So essentially, if the federal government, through the Social Security Administration, were to allow this, then this would allow essentially no gray area to exist, where the DMV and other entities would have the ability to do so if the federal government allows us to move forward. So it allows diacritical marks on official documents, and then furthermore, it permits them on government-issued documents, and of course, the implementation is contingent on resources and federal approval. And so the only thing that we noticed from the amendment that needed to be clarified before this bill leaves this committee is on Section 8 of the bill, looking at literally the last 3 sentences, the date on which the director of the DMV notifies the governor and the director of the Legislative Council Bureau that they have sufficient funding, it should be sufficient federal funding. So traditionally, when things are done at the federal level, often to these changes, they provide states with federal funding. And so this would say, if the federal government ever makes this change, then we will implement it when we receive federal resources. So that's pretty much the bill in its context, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for the presentation. We'll open up to questions from members. Assemblymember Dickman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks for being here and presenting this bill. Just a quick question about the other states who do this. Have they gotten federal permission?
No, that's Fabian Doñate, for the record. That's a good question. So the conflict, I'm going to just put to you the rationale as to why the bill was written this way. So other states have pretty much put into state law that says when you put an accent mark or a tilde, like for example in my name, that it's okay to go ahead and do that, that the DMV would allow you for the ability to put that on your name, say if you're immigrating to this country or if your child was born with that last name, or with an accent mark on their name. The problem that would exist is in those states, right, there's a conflict of what state law permits versus what the federal administration permits. And so there could be encounters where, for instance, Doñate would be on my ID, but the Social Security Administration would not have that. And so now you're creating 2 different statutes of something that is permissible at the state level, but not at the federal level. And so this bill pretty much was written to say, if the federal government ever allows through the Social Security Administration to have these accent marks on your name, then there's nothing that would prevent in our state laws from implementing such bill. So
Because they wouldn't, like, your driver's license then wouldn't match your social security card, right?
correct. So under this bill, under the provisions of this bill, Fabian Doñate, for the record, this essentially would mimic what we're doing federally, and so that way we're not into put a bifurcated system as what other states have already done. But other states are saying, like for example, Texas is the most recent example. They wanted to pass a law. They thought that the difference was not that big of an issue, and so they enacted law regardless. And so this is more just in compliance with whatever happens federally.
Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Members, additional questions? All right. Assemblymember Dickman did a great job getting that clarification. All right. Thank you both for the presentation. We'll now move on to testimony. We'll begin with testimony in support of Senate Bill 91. Anyone wishing to provide testimony in support here in Carson City or down in Las Vegas, please come forward. Please go ahead whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Chair and committee members. For the record, my name is Noe Orozco. That's N-O-E, accent over the E, O-R-O-S-C-O, and I'm the Government Affairs Manager for Make the Road Nevada. Diacritical marks, such as the accents, the tildes, and the umlauts, are not just ornamental. Growing up, my name was often mispronounced. It was not just a linguistic error, it was a distortion, a small erasure, repeated over and over. You see, I was taught not to be seen, not to be heard, and not to be noticed. I didn't understand it at first, but that's part of the intergenerational cultural shaming that comes from colonization. But as I grew older, I began to reclaim my name and my identity. In many cultures, names are sacred. They are gifted, they carry memories, prayers, and intentions. Reclaiming our names is not just about phonetics. it's an act of resistance, because when we choose to resist something, we are also choosing something on the other side. For our gente, we are choosing ourselves. We are choosing amor propio and self-respect. For that, we ask you to support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Seeing nobody else coming forward in Carson City, seeing no one coming forward in Las Vegas, AVH, would anyone like to provide testimony in support of SB 91 by phone?
Chair, the public lines are open and working, but we have no callers for support at this time.
Thank you. We'll now move to testimony in opposition of Senate Bill 91. Anyone wishing to provide testimony in opposition in person, please come forward. Seeing none, AVH, can we please check the phone lines?
Chair, we have no callers for opposition at this time.
Thank you. We'll now move to testimony in the neutral position. Welcome back, Mr. Sever.
Good afternoon, Chair, committee members. Sean Sever from the Nevada DMV. We are neutral on SB 91 and appreciate the bill sponsor reaching out to us. We did have a large fiscal note on this bill originally. However, the bill sponsor amended the bill to when the Social Security Administration authorizes it in their documents, or when the DMV determines sufficient resources are in place, which zeroed out our fiscal note. The weird part about this bill is, or about our fiscal note, is that the DMV costs went away, but the vendor costs remain. And since we don't know when this is going to happen, we can't really put it in a fiscal note. So ideally, we would hopefully pay for the vendor costs with federal funding if it becomes available. But we do look forward to working with the bill sponsor on an amendment to change the implementation date to when federal funds are available. Thanks.
Thank you. And so just to clarify, would that amendment address the issue with the vendor costs?
Sean Sever from the DMV, yes, it would, Chair.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Hello, my name is Amy Hines Sutherland, AMYHYNE-SUTHERLAND. I am the Health and Human Services Manager for the Nevada Association of Counties. And we just wanted to thank the sponsor for working with counties on the amendment. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Seeing nobody else coming forward, AVH, would anyone like to testify in neutral on SB 91 by phone?
Chair, we have no callers for neutral.
Thank you. All right, seeing no closing remarks, I think that will start the trend for the rest of this meeting. So thank you, Senator. With that, we will close the hearing on Senate Bill 91, and I will open the hearing on Senate Bill 181, which provides for the issuance of special license plates indicating support for Nevada State University. Welcome, Senator Cruz Crawford and team. Take your time. Whenever you're ready, please introduce yourself and begin.
Good afternoon. Thank you, committee. Thank you, Chair, for having me. I am very happy to be here today. My name is Senator Cruz Crawford. I represent Senate District 1 in North Las Vegas, and I know what you're thinking. Another license plate bill. How great is this? Was not my original intention. I learned as a regent that there was a lot of issues of higher ed regarding funding. Like, do you know that we don't fund summer school? And when we don't fund summer school, it's a challenge for students that especially carry loans, that their loans get extended and then those fees increase. So it was really a summer school funding bill, and when I got here, I found out that if you have anything like that, it's going to die immediately. Dr. Pollard is the president of Nevada State University and just someone I really look up to, a mentor of mine. And she contacted me and asked me if I would like to carry a license plate bill. And I said, I'll add it onto this. Everything else died. It was a comprehensive bill. And so we have this license plate bill. And the cool part about the license plate bill that Brian McNerney will go over is that it is going to fund a sports program and food pantry and other wraparound services. And you're probably like, sports, that's the last thing we need. But something unique is that I'm a school principal in a Title I school, And we lost every single basketball game last season. And with that, it's the first time kids in the inner city get to play a sport because sports are very expensive. And we brought together family, and a lot of our students had behavioral issues. We had something to hold over their head. At the same time, teaching them teamwork and cooperation and competitive spirit. And Nevada State University is very similar to a Title I school. In fact, my students grow up and go to Nevada State University. And so like my zip code is one of the highest student populations that go over there. And so it's not just a sports program, it's much more than that. And so when she shared that, I thought it was great. As a regent, I got to see the development of this idea, and we need a way to fund it. And this bill will do that. So I will send this over to our smart person over here, Ryan McInerney, to present what that looks like. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome back, Mr. McInerney.
Good afternoon, Chair Watts and committee members. For the record, my name is Ryan McInerney, Deputy Chief of Staff at Nevada State University, and I'm here today alongside Senator Cruz Crawford to present on SB 181. President Pollard sends her apologies for not being able to join us today. She is currently in Washington, D.C., advocating for students as part of the executive board of the American Association of State Colleges and Universities. Before diving into the details of SB 181, I first want to thank Senator Cruz Crawford for sponsoring this bill. The senator has been a steadfast advocate for the university and higher education across our state for many years. From her time as regent to her current role as senator, she has consistently demonstrated unwavering support for advancing education in Nevada, and this bill is no exception. And thank you to Dr. Espinoza for making full and best use of her doctorate and holding up our license plate sign. During the last legislative session, Nevada State successfully changed its name from Nevada State College to Nevada State University. This change was driven by our belief that the title university more accurately reflects our mission and the significant work that we do to uplift students, their families, and our community. And the unanimous support for this change demonstrated by the legislature's understanding of our objectives. For the many of you on this committee who had the opportunity to vote in favor last session, we thank you. Today, we seek a simple yet meaningful way for nearly 9,500 alumni, as well as students, faculty, staff, and supporters, to express their pride in Nevada's newest university, a privilege already enjoyed by Nevada's two other public four-year institutions. Specifically, SB 181 creates a special license plate for Nevada State University, increasing visibility for our school, supporting our forthcoming athletics program, and helping fund necessary items for students and faculty in need. With the recent passage of a student fee and generous donations from the Las Vegas Raiders and Golden Knights, we are thrilled to be the first higher education institution in Nevada to bring women's flag football and men's track and field to the collegiate level in spring 2026. We will also be bringing on a full-time athletics director in the very near future, and we are already planning for additional sports to be added in subsequent years. Here you'll see a preferred design for our plate and a comparison with other special license plates in Nevada. Our plate generally follows the designs of these other special plates. Before I conclude, I wanted to highlight a few reasons why supporting Nevada State and its efforts to address critical workforce needs is more important than ever. Nevada State has the largest nursing program in the state, producing nearly half of all BSNs in the Nevada system of higher education. Last May, we graduated the first four-year cohort of our data science program, the only bachelor's degree of its kind in the state. This fall, we welcome the inaugural cohort of our education specialist school psychology students, addressing the shortage of counselors in our K-12 schools. We are also in the early stages of developing nutrition and kinesiology programs to support Nevada's burgeoning sports industry. As we develop our own athletics program, a license plate that reinforces our new university name and spreads the Scorpion spirit would be fitting. And as I mentioned previously, funds raised from the license plate will help address basic necessities and food insecurity, a growing challenge evidenced by record high usage of our on-campus food pantries. Nevada State is the most affordable four-year institution in Nevada. and we offer more grants and scholarships than ever before. But every dollar counts when it comes to supporting our students and fulfilling our critical mission. With that, I want to thank you for your continued support and consideration of this important symbol for our school.
All right, I'll take that as the conclusion of your presentation. Thank you. This is just a little bit small and hard to see, so Dr. Espinoza could, oh, okay. Oh, so now I can't even see Dr. Espinoza. Thank you for that. Members, any questions for our presenters? Assemblymember Yurick.
Thank you, Chair, and this is really exciting. I was here and was able to participate in the vote that got us named to Nevada State University, so I'm proud of the work they're doing. I am new to the license plate stuff, serving on this committee this time, and I'm trying to understand the exemptions about some of the oversight for charitable stuff. Can you just cover a little bit of that and help me, and on the record, understand what's going on with the exemptions?
Sure, sorry, for the record, Ryan McInerney. I know Sean Sever is in the audience, and if he would be so kind to maybe answer some of those questions. Really
Mr. Sever, come on down.
No neutral testimony.
We'll just get some clarification about those provisions, and then we'll welcome you back for your neutral testimony later.
Sean Sever, DMV. I'm not used to this position. But yeah, the way it works, Mr. Yurick, is so legislative plates go outside of our normal specialty plate process. They require 1,000 plate a year, otherwise they get kicked out of our system. And so that's the way it works. But legislative plates are exempt from that. You do not need to hit the 1,000 mark.
And ironically, that's the one that I understood from other bills that we were on, but I was looking at some of the charitable oversight exemptions. Is that some, I don't understand that. I'm trying to understand why, if some of this is gonna be going to this charitable work that the institution's doing, some of the oversight mechanisms that it's exempted from, I just don't understand that part.
Yeah, so Sean Sever from the DMV. There's two different paths you can get a special plate in Nevada. One is through the DMV. We have a waiting list of organizations that go through that, and through that process requires the 1,000 plate minimum per year. All plates get audited by the LCB. The difference is this plate would go through the legislative process, and they are exempt from the 1,000 plate, but their fees still get audited and so, things like that.
Thank you. Assemblymember Brown May.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you so much. Thanks for being at the table, Mr. Sever. I appreciate that. And I believe I heard you just say we're not exempting from the audit provision, right? So as we're looking at special license plate bills, and I know that we were working on another bill earlier in session that we realized we had eliminated the audit. We put that back in, and so I just want to make sure that we're being consistent in how we're considering our special license plate bills. This bill, this license plate, should it be approved, will again be audited to ensure that the funds go to support the nonprofit section of Nevada State. Is that correct?
Yeah, Sean Sever from the DMV, that is correct. We do appreciate when bills have that in there, that they can be audited. I think it's important for transparency purposes. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, members, additional questions? All right, seeing none. Thank you both very much for the presentation. And we will now accept testimony in support of Senate Bill 181. Anyone wishing to provide support? In Carson City or Las Vegas, please come forward. We'll start here in Carson City.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Russell Rowe here on behalf of UNLV. In strong support of this legislation. It's important for NSU to be on equal footing with the other institutions, and we're very proud to be in support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, Trevor Parrish with the Vegas Chamber. The Chamber is in support of SB 181 as the creation of this state license plate design will allow students, faculty, alumni, and supporters to demonstrate their pride for Nevada State University. similar to UNLV and UNR. And the funds generated by this effort will go towards NSU's great student support programs. Last session, the Chamber supported the name change of Nevada State College to Nevada State University. And this session, we support the university having their own state license plate design. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much. Please go ahead.
Hello, members of the committee. My name is Nate Young. I'm representing UNR. We also want to, echo what our fellow schools have said in saying that this is a wonderful bill, and we think it's really going to be great in addressing the food shortages for our students. Thank you so much for your time.
Chair Watts, members of the committee, for the record, my name is Tracy Bauer with the Desert Research Institute, also here in support of SB 181 and the programs that it would support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Seeing nobody else coming forward in Carson City, we'll begin down in Las Vegas.
Hello, Chair Watts and Vice Chair Carter, and members of the committee. My name is Kevin Osorio Hernandez, and I have the honor of serving as the student body president at Nevada State University for a second term, and I'm also about to graduate in less than 2 weeks. I am here today in strong support of SB 181, and for me, this bill holds holds deep significance, not only for me, but also the students I also represent. A Nevada State license plate bill would provide our students with an added sense of identity and pride in our institution. More importantly, the revenue generated would directly support the development of our athletics program. And one of the other things that I also support about this bill is funding to support our diverse student populations and helping access the critical resources they need to succeed, such as food, clothing, and school supplies, and more. Food insecurity has been one of my biggest goals to solve during my 2-year tenure at Nevada State University, and I'm happy that this bill aims at supporting that. And then I support this bill.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your testimony and your advocacy.
Hello, Chair Watts and Vice Chair Carter and members of the committee. My name is Stephanie Flores, and I serve as the Vice President of Public Relations for Nevada State University Student Government. I am here today to voice my strong support for SB 181, which would establish a Nevada State license plate. For our students, this is about more than just a license plate. It's about representation, opportunity, and community. Having a plate that proudly displays our university's name would give students, alumni, and supporters a meaningful way to showcase their pride in Nevada State wherever they go. It's a visible reminder that our institution is growing, thriving, and here to stay. More importantly, the funds generated from these plates would go directly this would directly benefit our student body. A portion of the proceeds would help us build and grow key areas of student life, including our brand new athletics program launching in 2026 with men's track and field and women's flag football. These programs mark a major milestone for our university and will play a powerful role in strengthening school spirit and creating new traditions. SB 181 would help us lay the foundation for athletics at Nevada State and give students more opportunities to engage, connect, and show their school pride. Nevada State University is a diverse and rising institution that is committed to uplifting its students. SB 181 is an opportunity to reinforce that commitment and invest in programs that help students thrive. I urge the committee to support this bill, not just for the license plate, but for the message it sends about who we are and where we're going as a university. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Hello, Chair Watts, Vice Chair Carter, and members of the committee. My name is Lahana Pierce, and I proudly serve as the Vice President of Nevada State University. I am here today to express my strong support for SB 181, which would create a Nevada State University license plate. This plate is more than just a way to show school pride. It is a symbol of who we are as a university and as a community that is continuing to grow and making an impact in Nevada. Last week, I had the opportunity to visit the legislature building in Carson City for a second time to advocate for this bill. Being there was a reminder of how important it is for students to be involved in the decision-making process. We care deeply about the direction our university is headed, and this bill represents a significant step toward building the future we want to see for our students. A key priority for students at Nevada State has been bringing athletics to campus. Athletics are essential for fostering school pride, student engagement, and a sense of community. A well-supported athletic program creates opportunities for students to connect with one another, contribute to university's culture, and feel proud of their school. It is also a valuable way to increase overall student success, both inside and outside the classroom. Nevada State is a young and dynamic university, and we are incredibly excited about the direction we are heading. SB 181 is a chance to show that we are committed to supporting our students and continuing to build an even stronger and more vibrant community. I hope that you will support this bill, not just for the license plate itself, but for the opportunity it represents to strengthen our university and students who call it home. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Watts, Vice Chair Carter, and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Caitlin Gomez, spelled Kaytlin. I am a current student majoring in data science, minoring in biology, and I am here to support SB 181. I just finished my term as junior senator for student body government at Nevada State University, where I have the honor to assist the workforce development program, the Sustainability Council, and as an ambassador, previously worked under the undocumented student program. The roles I've held reflect the diverse students we serve at Nevada State University who are majority first gen or come from underrepresented backgrounds just like me. SB 181 supports more than just a license plate. Students, alumni, and faculty would be able to show their pride in our school. It serves as an investment in students who have always had to work hard to be seen. It is a chance to uplift Nevada State and open more doors for students from communities that are often left behind. Walking through campus, I have the honor to be reminded to be bold, be great, and be state. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, seeing nobody else coming forward in Las Vegas, AVH, would anyone like to provide testimony in support of SB 181 by phone?
Chair, the public lines are open and working, but we have no callers for support at this time.
Thank you. We'll now move to testimony in opposition of SB 181. Seeing nobody coming forward in either Carson City or Las Vegas, AVH, would anyone like to provide testimony in opposition to SB 181 by phone?
Chair, we have no callers for opposition at this time.
All right, and we will now move to neutral testimony.
Hello, Chair. Sean Sever from the DMV. Now I'm back in my normal spot, neutral. We are neutral on SB 181. Happy to report there is no fiscal impact to the DMV. Therefore, we submitted a zero fiscal note. We greatly appreciate the bill sponsors reaching out to us and look forward to working with them on developing this license plate. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay, seeing nobody else coming forward in Carson City or Las Vegas, AVH, would anyone like to provide neutral testimony on SB 181 by phone?
Chair, we have no callers for neutral.
All right, thank you very much. With that, I will close the hearing on SB 181 and open the hearing on SB 194, which revises provisions governing the short-term lease of a passenger car. Welcome. Whenever you're ready, please introduce yourselves for the record and you can begin.
Oh, I did it. Okay. Sorry. My name is Charlie De La Paz for the record, and I am from 3C House, and I have my client here. He is from Malco Enterprises and AKA Budget Car Rentals, and he is general counsel for that entity. SB 194 aims to amend NRS 482.31565 to address and close a loophole that currently allows individuals without personal vehicle insurance to use rental vehicles as a substitute for personal vehicle ownership. This practice has led to disproportionate financial impact on short-term vehicle lessors due to elevated insurance claim. Essentially, it's allowing people to use these rental car companies as a long-term solution for not being able to afford car insurance or a car payment. And so they are renting cars for long periods of time, which in essence, this means that if a car accident happens, it leaves our rental companies responsible for any damages that occur. So with that, I will turn the time over to Brent Quist and allow him to speak more on that.
Good afternoon, Chair Watts and members of the committee. My name is Brent Quist. I'm general counsel for Malco Enterprises of Nevada, which does business as Budget Car and Truck Rental of Las Vegas. I want to thank Senator Scheibel for carrying this bill and assisting in this process. Malco is a franchisee of Avis Budget Group. It is a local family business. In 1989, John Mallow opened Malco in Las Vegas. Since that time, Malco has grown to 7 locations around the Las Vegas Valley. John's son, Tom Mallow, is now the owner and president of Malco. Tom's a Las Vegan. He and his family call Nevada home. Nevada public policy supports that every driver on Nevada roadways have personal automobile insurance. In fact, Nevada law requires all drivers to have personal minimum automobile insurance for vehicles to operate those vehicles on the roadways. But there's one notable exception to this public policy. Nevada law does not require renters of vehicles to have personal liability insurance. As a result, Nevadans are using rental cars as a substitute for personal vehicles and thus transforming Nevada rental car agencies into de facto insurance companies. However, rental car agencies are not insurance companies. Over 25 years ago, the Nevada Supreme Court in a case, Alamo Rent-A-Car versus State Farm, recognized this fact. There, it noted, quote, "A rental car agency is not in the business of underwriting insurance for individual drivers. The nature of a car rental agency's business, renting cars to strangers for a short period of time, is not conducive to a finding that it is in the insurance business." The court went on to explain that a car rental company does not review renters' driving histories. It does not collect a premium from renters. The statute that Senate Bill 194 amends, which is NRS 482.31565, currently prevents car rental companies from requiring renters to purchase automobile insurance to rent vehicles. So Senate Bill 194 amends NRS 482.31565 first by requiring that renters provide proof of applicable personal automobile insurance that meets or exceeds Nevada's minimum automobile insurance requirements. And this requirement can be satisfied first through a renter's personal automobile insurance policy, secondly, through what is known as spot insurance, which is short-term insurance that a renter can purchase through a third party. And finally, car rental companies typically offer supplemental insurance, which is known as renter's liability insurance. The proposed bill expressly provides that a car rental company is permitted to not rent a vehicle to an individual who does not have personal insurance that satisfies Nevada's minimum statutory requirements. The law is good for Nevada. First, it will ensure that the correct parties will be responsible for accidents. Currently, car rental companies are financially responsible for cars they lease to renters. Nevada law requires car rental companies to demonstrate to the DMV their financial ability to respond to damages by providing evidence of insurance. Car rental companies evidence that financial ability to respond to damages by obtaining either a certificate of self-insurance issued by the DMV or through covering a rental car with an insurance policy. Senate Bill 194 does not alter a car rental company's financial responsibility obligations. However, too many Nevadans rely on car rental companies to act as their primary personal automobile insurance. And so Senate Bill 194 will require all drivers on Nevada roadways to be responsible for any accidents they cause, up to the statutory minimums. Second, Senate Bill 194 will lead to safer Nevada roads. Again, car rental companies are not insurance underwriters. They're not insurance companies. Car rental companies cannot assess the safety risk of local drivers like an insurance company. If persons who operate vehicles on Nevada roadways have their own automobile insurance, that indicates an insurance company has determined the person's not a high risk. Finally, Malco considers itself an essential public service to the community. Malco and other Nevada car rental companies were kept open during COVID because our citizens need convenient transportation. Malco wants to continue to serve the community. However, it and other car rental companies have faced devastating economic consequences due to renters not being required to have their own personal automobile insurance in order to rent a vehicle. Car rental companies, which are an essential business in the state, cannot survive economically under that sort of situation. Thank you for your consideration, and we urge you to support Senate Bill 194.
All right, thank you very much for the presentation. We do have some questions. We'll begin with Assemblymember Backus.
Thank you so much, Chair. And I probably have two questions, if that's okay. My first question is, the ask is for the person entering into the short-term lease for a vehicle to show proof of their insurance. That would meet the minimum standards. So hypothetically, if you had someone from out of state who's coming in, what is it that you're imagining in them to show the person at the rental car to acquire the vehicle?
Your car insurance. Oh. Brent Quist, General Counsel for Malco. Your insurance card, and it could be on your phone.
So I'm not sure if you know this, but like different states have minimum requirements. However, most policies that are acquired in other states will provide coverage that would be equal to the minimums of the state that someone's operating a vehicle in. So for example, if someone showed you their Utah insurance that has minimums, I think is at $15,000, ours are $25,000, would someone at the stand accept that? It sounds to me pursuant to this law, they would not be acceptable, even though their underlying policy could provide for such insurance.
Every renter under this bill has to have.
Your name for the record.
Oh, sorry. I will get used to this by the end of this hearing. Brent Quist, General Counsel for Malco. Under the bill, every renter has to have minimum insurance that meets Nevada's minimum insurance requirements, if that answers the question.
Chair, if I can make a comment and then my last question. So I think that's problematic here is, so someone's policy, which could be up to 90 pages long, could have embedded in their policy that they do have coverage that would meet the minimums of the state of Nevada or whatever state they're driving in, but their little card that they may carry would have the minimums of the state that they are from. So I could see where this could be problematic unless someone's expected to carry like a 90-page policy and have an agent at a short-term rental look and interpret an insurance policy. So that I kind of was struggling with, because then it goes to subsection 6 that says that they wouldn't be trying to sell insurance that would create like an unfair, deceptive, or coercive conduct. But you have a situation where someone could have the right insurance, but you have an agent that is basically expected to be a lawyer to interpret a policy. It's troubling in that respect for someone like me. But then my other question is, I know there's another bill coming up that provides for higher insurance for truck rentals. And in that situation, so if you were running a budget truck, for example, and it looks like Malco is a Nevada state company, that person running the truck would be expected to have those minimum coverage as well?
So to answer your, Brent Quist, General Counsel for Malco, to answer your first question, and I can't, my understanding, and I could get back and provide further information later, my general understanding is there is technology available that would allow a car rental company quickly, while the renter is going through the process of renting the vehicle, to confirm both insurance and amounts.
Charlie De La Paz for the record, if I could add to that. We understand that this is obviously going to take a little bit of a mindset change for renters from here on out that are coming into Nevada. And some of that can be solved by, in the instruction in the website, when they are renting that car, any of the pre-work that they do to rent that car, there will be clarifying information there so that that person who is visiting Nevada will have the opportunity to know exactly what they need to provide and can be prepared and look at that in advance as well.
And Brent Quist, General Counsel for Malco, as far as the second question, I understand it to be, if the law changes to require a higher minimums for passenger trucks, correct? If that happens, then yes, this law, NRS 482.31565 would require runners of those trucks to meet the minimum insurance requirements. And if those change, then they would have to meet those higher minimums. And I would, to add on to what Charlie just said, I would agree with that there will, I would suspect if this Senate Bill 184 passes, that there will be signs and education materials, posted at the locations to inform, renters what the law is, so they're not surprised.
Chair, if I can just make a conclusion. So I see a big struggle here because most of the minimum policies are set forth in the state in their insurance card. However, it's embedded in the policy language that usually provides coverage for someone that drives through another state to that state's minimums. So I just can see where that's problematic. And then what ends up happening is that person who would have adequate insurance comes to Nevada, they're then forced to acquire another policy. And what I've learned is through the work that I do is that the short-term rental policies that are provided are usually excess or just negligible because the policy the person carries is what really is providing their insurance. So if it was truly that this insurance would step in, that'd be great. So I would just think about those struggles. Is the reality is the policies are probably providing it. It's probably checking just to make sure the person has insurance, but it depends who their carrier is. So it could be a struggle, but I appreciate it. Thanks. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, and I would just ask that you and anybody else from the industry perhaps connect with Assemblymember Backus following this to dig in a little bit more on that issue and hopefully find a way to make sure that it's addressed. Next, we have a question from Assemblymember Nguyen.
Thank you, Chair. And I'm actually more curious from a consumer standpoint. I know that my colleague is coming from more a legal standpoint. And so are there processes in place? I'm a frequent car renter due to my travel. So I kind of trying to see in my head on my personal insurance policy of how it would cover if I would drive another vehicle. Usually the insurance policies are only for when I drive my own vehicle that I register with that insurance company. But if you go and rent a short-term vehicle like this, are there mechanism in the back end, whether it's entered through a computer with a policy number for you all to do a check to see if that insurance even qualify to be used to rent your vehicles? This is even before it gets to the state coverage, whether it's going to be in multiple states.
So Brent Quist, General Counsel for Malco, my understanding, again, and I'm going to research this further and get back because I think it ties into the last set of questions, is that I went to a trade show here down in Las Vegas, a car rental trade show, and there is some technology out there where you can confirm insurance, and I will look into that issue as far as when you're confirming the insurance with use of this technology, what exactly are you confirming? So I will get back on that.
May I have a second question, Chair? Go ahead. Thank you. So I want to make sure that in terms of the coverage, I know that it could also, in terms of cost and liability, in the renter world, there are sometimes age limitation. I don't see that in this language. I'm not sure if you have considered that piece in terms of whether the renter is, under 25. I think in the bigger commercial arena right now, under 25, you assess additional fees because maybe their driving records are less experienced than other drivers and so forth. Is there provision in this bill in terms of the age requirements to be able to use this product?
Brent Quist, General Counsel for Malco. there's not an age requirement. I think the age requirement would be whatever the age requirement is to rent the vehicle in the first place. What this bill does is it requires every renter to have minimum limits like they would, when they're driving their own personal vehicle. It's to close that loophole so that they don't say, well, I don't want to pay for my own personal insurance, so I'm gonna rent this vehicle. Because I know if I get in an accident, then the car rental company's solely on the hook. Again, we're not, and the car rental industry is not trying to shirk off their financial responsibility. But does this law specifically contemplate that things would be different depending on the age? No, it's just whatever the age is to rent a vehicle, we make sure the person's that age.
And Chair, if I could ask that we could meet offline to maybe talk further on some of these issues, because, I definitely want to understand it a little bit more in detail from a consumer perspective. Just want to make sure that we have the right information. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Assemblymember Dickman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, if you are renting a car because you don't have a car, then you might just not have insurance, right? So then would they be required to buy the insurance that you sell?
At that point, there's, Brent Quist, General Counsel for Malco. The bill does contemplate that the person would have, would be able to buy what's called spot insurance, which is temporary insurance they can buy through a third party. Also, car rental companies do offer renter liability insurance as well.
Could I have one more? Thank you.
If I could, Melanie Scheibel for the record, State Senator District 9, and thank you so much for excusing my tardiness as I was chairing a Senate Judiciary Committee, and I apologize for missing the bulk of the bill presentation, but I think that you asked a really good question, Assemblymember Dickman, and this is something that we talked about before I agreed to run this bill in the form of a gut replace of another bill I'd agreed to run. And I think that the really important provision in here for me is in subsection 2 of section 2, it's in subsection A. It is on lines like 12 through 15 approximately, which says that if the rental car company is going to offer that insurance policy, it has to be at the market rate. And so they can offer it as a convenience. The purpose is not to allow rental car companies to make money off of charging exorbitant fees for people to get insurance, but it is to address a problem that we are seeing in Las Vegas, and I think in other parts of the state, but certainly in Las Vegas, with uninsured drivers in general. And there is a problem that I think is larger than I had realized with those uninsured drivers being in rental cars. And so the purpose of ensuring that everybody on the road has an insurance policy is to do just that. Ensure everybody on the road has an insurance policy to promote better driving and to protect people if and when they do get into accidents. And so I think that the way that this is written, it provides those parameters. You have basically 3 options. Either you carry your own rental car insurance because you do drive a car when you're back home. 2, you buy that temporary insurance. If you live in New York City and you don't normally drive and you just need to drive for a week while you're out in Vegas, you get that spot insurance. Some credit card companies offer it, some travel companies offer it. Or 3rd option, you do pay for it at the counter and the bill ensures that it's at the market rate.
Yeah, I think that's very important, the market rate thing. But the other question I had was, you brought up credit cards, and a lot of credit card companies, especially if you have, a gold card maybe, provide that insurance. So how would you prove that if that was your form of insurance?
Melanie Scheibel for the record. I mean, I can't speak to how budget runs that, electronic check for insurance, but it's my intent with the bill that you would be able to show proof of that insurance. I think you'd have to think ahead a little bit to make sure that you had either printed it out or taken a screenshot before you went to rent a car. But there's no reason that the insurance can't be through, through the credit card company. As long as you can show at the rental counter that you are insured.
Thank you, thanks, Chair.
Thank you, and I think we're seeing a recurring theme is just questions about the details of what that verification will look like, to ensure that folks that do have some form of coverage that addresses these needs is able to be provided. So, members, additional questions? Seeing none at this time, I do have a couple more. One item I think is just to make sure is clear. So currently, there are essentially kind of damage waivers for a rental car itself. And a lot of what we're talking about now is liability coverage, that's kind of like the additional piece that is not covered, right? So it's not just about the damage to the vehicle you're driving, but liability for damage to other people's vehicles, property, as well as bodily harm. Is that correct?
Brent Quist, General Counsel for Malco, correct.
Great, thank you. One question, I don't know if you mentioned this. So do you have any sense of what other states have similar requirements to what's contemplated in this bill?
Brent Quist, General Counsel for Malco. Chair, I can get back to you further on that. I did do some research at the beginning of this process, and I believe there are other states where there is a requirement for the renter to have their own insurance, but I can get back on those states and what that law says if you'd like me to.
Yes, that'd be great. Thank you. Do you have any sense of what impact this might have on transaction times as a result of adding these additional steps to verify and then, if unavailable, to complete purchase of supplemental insurance?
Brent Quist, General Counsel for Malco. When I get back on to inform you all about this technology, the technology I did look at, and I wish I was at this moment. I wish I was paying more attention at the time. It's a process that can happen while the person is standing in line. It's a quick process, and also keep in mind that rental car agencies are motivated to move people quickly through the line because they don't want to get unhappy customers. So I would suspect that this is something that can happen quickly.
Great, thank you. And then one question. So I think I got some additional clarity because originally I was looking at the final subsection 6 of this bill. And I think it was explained well by the senator that in order for this not to be considered a deceptive trade practice, it has to meet that requirement that it be provided at market value. I guess the only question I have is, I'm not familiar with this chapter, so who would monitor and enforce that to ensure that any products being offered by a rental car company are compliant with those market rate requirements?
Melanie Scheibel, for the record, I think it would be the insurance commissioner.
Great, thank you. And then one last question. So I think this was mentioned during the presentation that one of the issues is that currently rental car companies are unable to offer this liability product. So could you just give me a little bit of clarity? And the big picture question I'm asking is, I've had this experience. I think the most rigorous questioning I've gotten when I've gone to rent a car is, who is my insurance provider? That's it. Sometimes it's not even that. It's just, do you want additional coverage that we're offering? Yes or no? So understanding that this would kind of put a blanket requirement into place, is there anything that essentially what's the issue that prevents rental car companies from choosing to kind of go down this path currently?
Melanie Scheibel for the record. I did not know that a rental car company is not allowed to ask you for your insurance information. That's why they ask you who your insurer is and never ask you to provide your insurance card. Now, I could have sworn I had provided my insurance card when I rented a car in another state. And so maybe the first or second time I traveled up here to Reno and rented a car, I remember getting my insurance card out of my glove box, thinking I was going to need it to get my rental car at the counter, and they never asked for it. And it wasn't until like 3 or 4 months ago that I learned it's because they are not allowed to ask customers for their insurance information. And so that would be the reason. And sorry, I just jumped in there because I was so surprised to learn that. I wanted to share it with all of you. That's the reason they've not been doing this already, was that
Got
we
it.
prohibited them from doing it.
Thank you. And so is that in statute currently?
Yes, it's in the section of the statute that we are amending. I thought it was in statute, but maybe it's an interpretation of multiple rules together that was preventing them from doing that before.
Okay, thank you. And then
Sorry.
the one last question I have is, so in this new subsection 2, basically it says that the short-term lessor shall require that the person seeking to rent the vehicle provide proof of insurance that satisfies the minimums. And then if that person cannot provide proof, they may sell a temporary policy, or if the person is unable to, refuse the passenger the rental. And so I'm just wondering about the intent of that. Is that to allow them to potentially turn down, or is the idea that if they do not have that proof of insurance, they will be denied, and they do not get insurance that meets those minimums, they will not be given a rental car?
Melanie Scheibel for the record. The idea here is to put the responsibility on the rental car company to ensure that everybody driving their cars is insured. And so they would have to either find a way to cover that insurance policy for the driver before any of their cars leave the lot, or that the reason that it says if the person refuses, that the company will refuse to lease the car, is to say that, the rental car company can't make the decisions themselves. Like, oh, well, we're just going to not sell them an insurance policy, but still let them drive the car off the lot and injure other people without having proper coverage. So that is the purpose of subsection B, is that, if they wanted to include it complimentary as part of their rental package, they absolutely can do that. There's no option where the rental car company decides they're going to let people drive their cars without liability insurance.
Thank you. That's what I just wanted to make sure was clear about the intent, is that coverage is going to be provided one way or another. So, okay. Seeing no other questions, thank you very much for the presentation. We'll now move to testimony. We'll begin with testimony in support of Senate Bill 194. Anyone wishing to provide testimony in support, please come forward.
Hi there, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Andrew McCam, the Executive Director of the Nevada Franchised Auto Dealers Association. We support this bill. Number one, we firmly believe it's a tool to address the practice of individuals motating around on our highways and byways without insurance. As we all know, as a result of that, we all pay for it. We also have an interest because some of our dealers, depending on their sales and service agreement with their respective manufacturer partners, actually have to have a short-term leasing operation. So there's that, and then we have dealerships, as you all are aware of, that do have body shops, and we see on a daily basis when repairs are made when the at-fault party had no insurance. To Assemblywoman Backus, I'll gladly, if you want to talk about that offline, I think I had some PTSD from my time when I was the chairman of the Nevada Transportation Authority, but that was an extremely common practice for unlicensed illegal household good movers who would lease a box truck from a short-term lessor of vehicles, and there was no insurance on it whatsoever. So if you want me to talk to you a little bit about it, I'm more than willing to. I don't want to bore the committee with it. But anyway, Mr. Chairman, thank you for your time, and hope you all have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Mr. McKay, for your testimony. I hope the same for you. Seeing no one else coming forward at this time, either in Carson City or Las Vegas, AVH, would anyone like to provide testimony in support of SB 194 by phone?
Chair, there are no callers to provide support testimony.
Thank you. We'll now move to testimony in opposition of SB 194. If anyone would like to provide opposition testimony, please come forward. Seeing none, AVH, can we check the phone lines?
Chair, there are still no callers for opposition testimony.
All right, we'll now move to testimony in neutral of SB 194. Mr. Sever? Well, seems like he's good on this one. Seeing no one coming forward, AVH, can we check the phone lines once again?
You have no callers for neutral testimony.
All right, thank you very much. With that, I will close the hearing on Senate Bill 194 and open the hearing on Senate Bill 320, which revises provisions relating to crosswalks. And welcome back to the table, Senator Scheibel.
Thank you so much, Chair Watts and members of the Assembly Growth and Infrastructure Committee. For the record, my name is Melanie Scheibel. I am the state senator for District 9 in Southwest Las Vegas. I'm happy to be in front of you today presenting SB 320. SB 320 I call my happy little public safety bill because it is not a huge lift, but I think it will make a significant difference for people throughout Nevada and their safety, especially as they walk and bike around our communities. So what SB 320 does very briefly is it ensures that wherever there is a crosswalk at the street, so wherever there is a street corner, because that's how a crosswalk is defined, where two streets come together, they form an intersection, all of those corners are crosswalks. This requires cars to be parked at least 20 feet away from the end of that sidewalk. And that ensures that there's better visibility for drivers as they are coming up to that intersection and through that intersection. This policy is a product of research from professionals in this area and the Regional Transit Authority, and is in direct response to some of the fatalities that we have seen in southern Nevada where pedestrians have been killed in crosswalks. I don't have an exact number for you, and I'm kind of glad that I don't because we don't have a lot of pedestrian fatalities, but I can tell you as an attorney, I worked on 2 of them in this last year where individuals were killed who were crossing the street in marked crosswalks. Whether or not they would have survived if there had not been another car parked closer to the crosswalk impeding the vision of the car that ultimately struck and killed those people, I don't know. That's, a what if we'll never be able to answer, but this seems like a pretty reasonable response to save lives. Because when we've all done it, we've all approached a crosswalk and been surprised by somebody who is crossing the street, and the length of time and the amount of visibility that's needed is more than 10 feet, it's more than 15 feet, 20 feet is the amount of visibility that is necessary for a car to be able to slow down and come to a complete stop if a human being is crossing the road in front of them. And so what SB 320 does is it requires that at every crosswalk, cars are a full 20 feet away from the crosswalk before any of them begin parking so that the approaching cars can see pedestrians as they cross the street. The enforcement mechanism is contained largely in Section 2 in subsection 1B and 2 and 3. Basically, in short, what it says is that for the first year of this enforcement, it can only be enforced with a warning. We're not going to be citing anybody. We're not going to be charging anybody fines or fees for prohibiting this. It's an educational process for the first year. Starting in 2027, then local municipalities and governments can start utilizing their normal enforcement mechanisms like ticketing people who are parked too close to that crosswalk. And it also has a provision in Section 2, subsection 1, subsection B. I think I said that was enforcement, but I was wrong. That subsection allows local jurisdictions to develop a space that is longer than 20 feet, but not shorter than 20 feet. So for example, if there's a curve in the road, or there is a large tree, a building, something else that would make 20 feet insufficient, a local municipality or a local government can extend the length of that stopping point, but they can't make it any shorter than 20 feet. And that is SB 320. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much for the presentation. We do have a question. We'll start with Assemblymember Karas.
Thank you, Chair. It's great to see you in our committee, Senator. My question, I like the bill, but especially in southern Nevada, the frontage for homes is so small. And I literally this morning, because I had read your bill in preparation for today, noticed even up here, there was someone parked in front of their house. It was the only space they had in front of their house, and they were not 20 feet away from the stop sign. How are we going to deal with all those homeowners that have now lost the ability to have even one guest if they're not parked in their driveway?
Melanie Scheibel, for the record, excellent question, and this is probably the biggest concern that I've heard about the bill is the loss of parking spaces. And that's one of the reasons that we pushed out the enforcement, so that for at least the first year, there are only going to be warning citations to allow communities time to develop alternatives and to allow individuals time to develop alternatives. I mean, speaking for myself, I'm a little embarrassed that my husband and I have a 2-car garage and we can only fit 1 car in there. And you know, if we were the house on the end, this would give us a year to clear out the other half of the garage. This would give us time to go to our HOA and ask for additional parking at the end of the block. This would give communities time to develop alternative parking mechanisms and allow the municipalities to design any kind of ordinances that they need to.
May I follow up, Chair?
Go ahead.
Thank you. So my perception of distances is not so great. 20 feet, isn't that roughly 2 cars?
Melanie Scheibel, for the record, yes, it's approximately 2 car lengths, and the current law is that cars have to be 15 feet from a stop sign. And so I will also say, I think that there are some places where violations are already rather common. And look, I'm not trying to fix all of the intersections in all of Nevada, but I think that I anticipate that there will be some, shall we say, selective enforcement, and this will give law enforcement officers the tools that they need at especially busy intersections, places where we have already seen pedestrian deaths, to ensure that at those crosswalks there are no cars parked 20 feet away or less than 20 feet away.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Members, additional questions? Okay, seeing none, I do have a couple. So I do see in section 1 of the bill, this adds marked or unmarked. So you had mentioned in your testimony that a crosswalk exists whether it's marked or unmarked. So is this just intended as clarifying language? And I guess kind of the follow-up to that is it generally considered that currently, whether it's marked or unmarked, that any intersection is a crosswalk?
Melanie Scheibel, for the record, yes, that's correct. That's already the definition of, or that's already the definition of a crosswalk. And so this is just clarifying.
Okay, thank you. And then I'm just trying to, let's see here. Okay, so essentially, if the local government decides that there's an area that needs to have a greater buffer, they do have to erect some sort of signage or other notification indicating that to folks in order to be able to enforce that. Is that correct?
Melanie Scheibel, for the record, yes, that is.
Great. I think that's helpful so that folks can kind of learn that there's one standard, and if there's gonna be any difference, it's gonna be posted. And I think with those changes to section 2, it still requires that there has to be some statement of that on there. Okay, I think those were the only questions that I had. Seeing no other questions, thank you very much for the presentation, Senator. We'll now move to testimony. We'll start with testimony in support of Senate Bill 320. Anyone wishing to provide testimony in support, please come forward.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee. Nick Ciccone, representing the city of Reno. I just wanted to apologize to the senator. She had accepted my amendment on the Senate side, and I was not available in the other committee to testify, but I wanted to say that we're thankful at the city of Reno. It had 2 different standards in there, one relating to 15 feet and another relating to 20 feet, and we appreciate the uniformity when it comes to making it clear for everyone, and that 20 feet visibility is supported by what I now learned is the manual on uniform traffic control devices. There's always something that local governments rely on making our decisions for, so we appreciate this bill and we'll use it with discretion, like she had said. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing nobody else coming forward, AVH, would anyone like to provide testimony in support of SB 320 by phone?
To testify in support of Senate Bill 320, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Good day, Chair and members of the committee. Could you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Watts. This is Dora Martinez with the Nevada Disability Peer Action Coalition, and we thank Senator Scheibel for bringing this common sense and safety bill. I always walk every day with my guide dog, and I appreciate the beyond 20 feet or 20 feet at least, so it gives me a chance to hear it and my dog to see it too, and for us to cross the road. So thank you, and we hope that you agree with this bill, and thank you, and go Pack, Chair.
Thank you. AVH, next caller, please.
Chair, there are no additional callers for support testimony.
All right. We'll now move on to testimony in opposition of Senate Bill 320. Seeing no one coming forward, AVH, is there anyone who would like to provide opposition testimony by phone?
Chair, we have no callers to testify in opposition.
All right, and finally, we'll move to neutral testimony on Senate Bill 320. Mr. Sever? No? You're gonna have to update that driver's ed handbook.
Oh my God.
I guess that can be absorbed. Okay. Seeing no one coming forward, AVH, would anyone like to provide neutral testimony by phone?
Chair, we have no callers for neutral testimony.
All right. With that, I will close the hearing on SB 320. That brings us to the last item on our agenda today, which is public comment. If anyone would like to provide public comment, either here in Carson City or down in Las Vegas, please come forward. Seeing nobody at this time, AVH, can we go back to the phones once more to see if anyone would like to provide public comment?
If you would like to provide public comment, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, the public lines are open and working. We have no callers for public comment.
All right, thank you. That concludes our business for today. Our next meeting will be on May 1st, 2025 at around 1:30. With that, thank you all. We are adjourned.